This story was sent to me by Coca 2005. And before I get started, let me just say this. I remember when I had said that a couple months ago in a video that I did where I said that men maybe should not be in the environment of children in a daycare setting. Well, let me just kind of adjust that. There are some women that don't need to be in there as well. And this woman, whose name is Kimberly Hignite, is definitely one of them. Now, this story is coming out of Central Ohio, where this woman, who, like I said, her name is Kimberly Hignite, was a daycare operator, and she got accused of sexually abusing kids. And get this, after taking a plea deal, this heifer is only getting 30 days in jail. This is where I say a combination of racism and sexism comes into play. Racism because, of course, she's going to get a lighter sentence because she's a white woman. And two, sexism because she is a woman. I swear, whenever it comes to sexual abuse to children and it involves a woman, especially one who is white, they handle her with kid gloves all the time. And I do mean all the time. And they are they are the catalyst for what happens with a lot of these kids in the school setting, in the school anyway, or any type of place that deals with kids in a very open environment like school or in a daycare. Most of the time when you hear stuff like this, it usually involves a woman of some sort, mostly of the Caucasian kind. There are some men, but it's mainly women who do this, but they always give them a slap on the wrist. This article is coming from 10tv.com. It says a daycare owner who convicted of abusing children will only spend 30 days in jail. Kimberly Hignite was operating an unlicensed daycare in her Grove City home. Hold on. That should be another charge. Unlicensed, which means she was not supposed to have all these kids in her care at all whatsoever. When the sheriff's office searched the home in May 2018, they say they found 24 children with one adult, Hignite's 71-year-old mother. They say many of the children between 7 months and 5 years old were strapped into car seats left unattended in separate rooms. Monday in court, the mother of 5 of those children stood to face Hignite and tell her how her crimes impact their children. One of my girls developed an anxiety-driven hair-pulling habit to the point that she was nearly bald, said one mother. My heart breaks anytime I think about how my children were left alone, strapped in their car seats, crying. Prosecutors say 3 children spoke of sexual touching, something called the silly private game. Well, I think we know what. You can just tell just by the title alone what that entailed. A game that Miss Kim forced them to play using a tan and blue game board with pictures of private parts and a red spinner, said another mother. Your Honor, the sound of my autistic son and little girl being able to describe what that grown woman's vagina looks like and feels like is something we regrettably will never be able to forget. And honestly, something that I can never forgive. 10 TV is not identifying the parents to protect the anonymity of their children. My infant was left in her winter snowsuit all day long, strapped in her car seat, coming home sweating, dehydrated, and hungry with awful diaper rashes to the point she was bleeding, and I had to take her to the doctor. Now, the title of this article just talked about her sexually abusing the children, but this, as I'm reading along, did way more. She did way more than just sexually abuse these children. Like, she did like physical abuse to them as well. And let's not also forget that she is an unlicensed, quote unquote, daycare provider who left all these kids in the care of her mother, who was 71 years old. Let's continue. In a plea deal Monday, prosecutors agreed to drop gross sexual imposition charges against Hignite in exchange for her guilty plea to 14 counts of child endangering. So see, that's basically the lower charge. If they were to get her on the main charge, which was that sexual abuse, which they was going for, she would have had way more than 30 freaking days in jail. I want the court to know that we accepted this plea deal because I could not allow Miss Hicknight to take away one more moment from my children's lives, said the mother of two victims. Not one more. Given the chance to speak, Hicknight declined. If we cannot get the justice we hope for without re-traumatizing our children, I can only beg that you take every possible step to ensure that Kimberly Hicknight can never hurt another child again. The maximum Hicknight could get was 180 days in jail for each of the 14 counts she pleaded guilty to. Instead, Judge William Woods accepted a joint recommendation from prosecution and defense and gave her 30 days in jail. That's a far cry from the 180 days for each of the 14 counts. Like, this woman was looking at a few years behind bars, and all they gave her was 30 days. Multiple victims' families called that sentence disappointing and an injustice. Prosecutors said one reason they agreed to dismiss some of the charges was due to families who chose not to cooperate with prosecution. Hicknight will serve her 30 days in jail in the Richland County Jail and will pay for the cost of her incarceration along with a $4,200 fine. If they don't get out of here with that, man, I'm telling you, this is a cakewalk for her. All she got was 30 days in jail and a $4,200 fine. At 10%, that's only $420 as if she can't afford to pay that. And I swear, they only tipped the iceberg with the title of this article by them saying that she sexually abused these kids, because they only mentioned the sexual abuse one time. I mean, that's bad enough, but they really went in on the physical abuse and the mental abuse that she did with these children. And she was an unlicensed daycare provider. Like, that should have been an additional charge. But, that's palm-colored privilege in the flesh for you. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this down in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. I'll talk to you in the next one.